I'm terrible with names, so I probably did that. So this is going to be your shoutcasting station. I hope you guys can do it for one computer. Is that going to be cool? Okay. So these are headsets are mic'd up, and then are you familiar with how OBS works? Yes. Okay. You probably won't have to touch it. It's already streaming. We've been testing it. It'll display this while you're in this screen, and then once the game loads up, it should go right over it. Yes. Otherwise, you do have mutes on these. Okay. So when you need to mute, you can, and you also have volume up, volume down. The only problem is that game audio is only going to one headset. Okay. So that's their primary headset. So whoever needs to hear game audio most play this instead of following the text is probably that one's going to be able to play game audio. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't know if you guys need to do anything else. I have drinks if you guys want to hang out or whatnot. Yes, I can. Do you have like a plug? I can. Hang on. It's fine if I don't get. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't know if you guys need to do anything else. I have drinks if you guys want to hang out. Yeah, I just want to yes. Yes, I can. Do you have like a with the windows down? Oh, nice. Do you want the stream on both sides, or stream on both sides? What do you want? This stream I wanted to do LCS on one and the stream on the other. If you want to do both on both sides, it's you. As long as we have our this. Mike seems to be working on this side.
Testing. Nathan smells like poop. Testing. Nathan smells like poop.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this computer's not locked down or anything, so you guys can use it for whatever else you need. Just don't close OBS. Yeah. Audio is out.
Testing. Nathan smells like poop.
Draven got a small nerf. Ezreal got a small buff. Necro got a small change. Are we done checking? Leona got a buff. Yes, she got buff. Oh, alright. Yeah, it's not really a nerf, it's just a small change. Yeah, her got buff. Basically, after level 6, it's a nerf. Don't care. Misfortune, that's the one I keep forgetting about. So that one has the game audio. I don't know if you want that one or not. I might, because I can listen to audio here, so be able to play off of that. Okay. That just means that I won't be able to hear you. Because like I can, because like if I'm able to hear, like if the display is being used versus no place being used, I can react more off of that. You're doing color, right? Oh, right. So I'm like, am I like humor? Well, no, you're like doing it out. Oh, yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you are currently in line to register, you guys are going to be our last ones to register. Registration is now closed to anybody not currently in line. Again, if you are not in line, registration is closed. If you are in line to register, stick around. We're going to take you guys. So keep going. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you are currently in line to register, you guys are going to be our last ones to register. Registration is now closed to anybody not currently in line. Again, if you are not in line, registration is closed. If you are in line to register, stick around. We're going to take you guys. So keep going. All right, ladies and gentlemen, registration is officially closed. Hang out for a little bit, guys. We're going to make some brackets and we're going to get started here shortly. Again, registration is closed. Hang out for a little bit. We'll get started shortly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, registration is officially closed. Hang out for a little bit, guys. We're going to make some brackets and we're going to get started here shortly. Again, registration is closed. Hang out for a little bit. We'll get started shortly.
Oh my god. These are very nice. These are very nice. Wow. Oh my god. These are very nice. Wow. Oh my god.
What is on LCS right now? It just needs to go to make sure downtown side even. The other thing is too, typically at elite tournaments, there is, or actually, when you spectate for regular games, there's a 3 minute delay. We're not able to get rid of that, so you guys are going to counter that 3 minute delay before it's actually going to start. So, yeah, they're trying to fix that for next time. Something in all the only real tournaments, not tournament, but
Interesting. So we're working off a 3 minute delay.
spectate. So players are going to react to something and then later. Oh, this is not bad. Get rid of that, so you guys are going to counter that 3 minute delay before it's
Right.
actually.
So we can't like acknowledge that they're like doing something bad.
Why not? I think we want to say that up front.
Although we don't want to be like, man, these guys are shouting. We're gonna find out why in a few minutes.
Oh yeah, no.
This guy's raging at his friend on the other side. We're gonna find out why in a few minutes. Stay tuned. After these commercials.
Find out why they're raging.
just wish I knew what the tiers of these guys were, so that I could like understand what level I have to be in with it. Because if it's like a bunch of silvers and golds or even flats, I can like go to a pretty base setting. If it's diamond, I have to like actually read into their strategy. Maybe it's something I don't even know about.
Let's assume it's your rank.
I just wish I knew what the tiers were. So I could like understand what level I have to So if it's like a bunch of silvers and golds or even flats,
Do you have any idea where our DBI
maybe
is?
if it's diamond, I have to like actually read into their strategy. Maybe it's something I don't even know about.
Assume it's your rank. It'd be easier to stand instead of sit.
Probably.
I might stand this because I don't know if I compensate.
Oh, my legs are sore. See, I was wigging out because I thought this was going to start right at 3, and we were just going to get thrown into it. Oh, my legs. I wonder if he's got green coaches.
Probably not.
See, I was wigging out because I thought this was going to start right at 3, and we were just going to get thrown into it.
I said you built your own, didn't you? No. No, you built your own computer. Not your own.
I'm the only one that gets my own bed. We have to sit in
Dude, I want the cameras. I want the cameras on me. My boosted plays.
So where's
You'll stand right there. Devin, you have to watch from out there. You gotta spectate.
I just realized. Yeah, I just realized the biggest. This is a board.
Alright, but I play main guitar, dude.
Yeah.
Guitar.
I will get the person. Yeah, but just you want to play that is right there.
If it's not Mountain Dew, I don't want it.
Just think about that.
You get like Mountain Dew.
You need to do. You need to improve play like John. You need Mountain Dew. You need to.
Actually, let me tell you, I wonder how many people will actually understand my name.
What?
They're going to see it.
Oh, no. They're just using music now. I thought it was legal law.
It is legal law, but they're going to be given on the side by the computer. Oh, true.
Yeah,
What am I? Oh wait, no. Actually, I guess it's not. We're actually not on the but like it's everything's on lock.
Wait, we're not.
See? Yeah, look at it.
Oh yeah. Hey, don't forget the chain setting.
If there's still the quest on, oh my god. Please let somebody just like pancakes every game.
Actually, I want to
Oh, what do you use? Cole, I'm pretty. Literally more. I'm pretty sure these.
look how nice those are.
These feel really nice, except they're wow.
I wonder how much time. Where can other people like find this? Is this like a thing that's
Microsoft. Two is $20 more than that. So this one is huge. I mean, this is a 2 terabyte. That one's 1 terabyte. That's all. You're gonna be like bumping into the next one.
Plus, you have to agree on how far away you want to be.
Like how big is it? Laptops just taking like forever. So either one of these will be able to fill that. This guy can only fill half. Solo campaigns. Oh, Windows 10 is not.
never ends.
I learned that if you be nice to your teammates, you're going to show them.
Yeah. Yeah. We're good guys. Good dude.
I mean, I was in bronze and I was getting frustrated at first because I got to the point where like I knew what I was doing. A little thing, nobody was saying anything. I was just like kicking all the bullshit I should have been. And I was like, wait, if I just be nice to people, I don't know. If I immediately was.
I can work with everybody.
Here's the thing though, if you get paired up and sold to 9 other random people, and so the enemy team is 5 randoms. If you're a good person, your team has an advantage. If randomly they're all bad, your team should have the advantage. You're good. That's how I think of it. The enemy team is just like the team has garbage people as mine. If somebody garbage on your team, tell them about it. You're not gonna make them better. You're not gonna make them any better.
Yeah, if you can prevent your team from getting killed, that's fantastic.
So this one would cover your entire hard drive. You're paying for something all at 128. I'm
You
done.
just need somebody to stand up and walk away.
Yeah, that's not funny. Yeah, I think he's making practice. That's what's happening. Maybe 4. This is called my task force.
You just need somebody to stand up and walk away. Too great, walk away.
I said, did they let you walk around these things? That one walking like.
That'd be nice, right?
I'm in here with like a beer again. Look at how little arm
I know
space you have.
you gotta play like this.
Yeah, we got pretty.
That's the only thing I
Yeah.
I know. Like my desk is like this long. And
Yeah.
it's like so I play with my whole
I
arm.
gotta play on that. Yeah. We're making progress. That's what we're doing. 31. Both teams backdoor each other and kill the next one. Happens all the time. Oh, that would actually be
Alright.
either one of them. So you really would just have to decide if you want the 1 terabyte or double the storage. Amazon for $20 more. Just need to order the same band. 18 pieces. Login using their account. Free login using our account. Yes. Whichever team has the most power and skill. I don't know if they're going to be right. I don't know. They're all the same hard drive. So it's just you might just pay more. I don't know. I can't imagine. the Team Yellow Penguins back to the theater, please? Team Yellow Penguins back to the theater. Yellow Penguin? Who wins? Who's the other one? Yellow Penguin.
And what's the second team?
Team Penguins back to the theater, please. Team Yellow Penguins back to the theater.
Better do that probably in the next couple of like just right now in this floor.
Sean, you know what? You're both.
Tim, what was the name? I'm busy. I got it.
I guess
ain't
you
texting nobody.
You have everybody? There are other people asking.
And what's the second team?
All five of us are here.
You got the other team?
Yeah, what is the other team?
It's like 4 o'clock now.
Pretty sad already.
We won.
Icon! Win my default. We got a coin flip. Yeah. We outplayed the coin flip.
You should keep one thing in your pocket. I don't have enough room.
Yeah, I could put it next to it.
Usually I don't have walls.
I'll take them. Have like some in the box.
Oh my god, dangerous.
We're just positioned here, and then after the delay, we get to let the game play so we can shotcast from there.
Somebody's got to remake these.
Yeah. But they're like remake landlocked systems, so
Then when we're done,
Yeah, exactly, dude.
I stopped spending any points just like 3 months ago. They're all gonna be free now. I'm curious to see how the ending's gonna work.
I know, I hope the last one is bigger than the one in space.
Just be on the side and try and look at the stream and stream strength.
Yeah.
Alright guys, we need a big mirror, right?
Yeah. Those are for the casters. Yeah, what do you think, Brad?
No news.
They have mics. I guess that's good.
They can talk to each other. I don't know.
That would be so frustrating if you didn't have.
We're gonna be on Twitch. We're gonna be Twitch
Are
fans.
we gonna be?
That would be awesome. Or well, just like damage.
What's it?
That's how you can make brackets. I have no idea.
I'm not sure how the communication systems work in here. I'm not sure if these guys are going to use the Discord to like the registering system here is kind of awkward for this because only one of these steps has been happening.
There's one for Easton, I think.
Maybe it's legalized with that.
Was there one when you guys went to the?
I think they were like yeah, but I don't know how long we're waiting.
As soon as you leave. Yep.
Maybe. What if I just move my profile?
Like just ranging around competitive. I get the link for the stream again?
Mixer.com/daily@east.
Okay, thank you.
So because they're not gonna have some games, we can just go off the character.
Yeah, which is fine.
That's better.
All right, guys, thank you for being patient. We're going to get started here. I'm going to call the first two teams. First two teams, please come to the theater. Team World Class and Barbecue Pitmasters.
Do you know what the format of this is? Is it like best of three?
No,
Best of
single
one?
elimination.
Single elimination.
Oh, yep.
Is there?
Yes, on the count of three.
Everybody else, we appreciate you guys hanging on for just a little bit longer while you guys get lined up to play. Again, we do have the stream. We'll be playing outside in the two TVs. We encourage you guys to go outside there to watch. Help us keep the aisles clean. Just as an FYI, the next two teams, so you guys stick around so you know, next two teams are Wood Division and Yellow Penguins. So you guys are going to be up next after this round. Everybody else, we appreciate you guys hanging on for just a little bit longer while you guys get lined up to play. Again, we do have the stream. We'll be playing outside in the two TVs. We encourage you guys to go outside there to watch. Help us keep the aisles clean. Just as an FYI, the next two teams, so you guys stick around so you know, the next two teams are Wood Division and Yellow. All right, so I got Team World Class, and I got Barbecue Pitmaster.
Yeah.
All right, feel free to take your seats, guys. You can log into your league accounts if you want to. Nothing to do because that's how you're getting all the points and XP and all that good stuff. You guys do have you guys do have mice. These are 50 plus the ones that are in there right now. If you want to grab mice. Yeah, we're gonna make one join a game, and they're all just gonna have to invite. Yeah, just gonna have to invite a custom game. You guys are.
So I heard Mark Rose is
Skype call. You guys are your own Skype call, so you guys should have voice over IP as well. Yeah, for voice comms. And if you guys do want to adjust the laptops, you're more than welcome to move them around a little, make it more comfortable. I assume everybody's trying to get this, so.
Oh, it's just 3 minute delay in total.
Yeah.
It's a delay in all the audio. Okay.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, because we just heard the something about a Skype call just now.
Shouldn't be hearing them at all.
Well, no, we heard your voice in the background noise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it was on a delay. It was like 20, 30 seconds. Oh, it's just 3 minute delay in total.
Well, you know what? I have the stream up. Here. We're gonna close it out. Let's read it up there.
All right.
person. You are going to be my person to set up a game. Do you know how to set up a game? I hope so. It's been a while. So you're going to create customs. You are going to
What did you want? What did you want to do?
What?
You wanted to stream on Mixer?
Yeah, it was
Well,
like
he wanted to know what the stream was.
I got it. It's,
yeah,
mixer.com
mixer.com/gaming
gaming
at
at
EastCon. Yes.
hopefully everybody typed in their username correctly. This is going to be the fun part. You're going to have to invite everybody. So you're going to invite. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Already got them.
I'm really curious if we're gonna actually see like I'm really curious if we're gonna see like legitimate new gameplay today. Kind of pumped for it.
She's on the official.
She's on number 1, so it's going to be EASCOMMY.
People watching on the stream.
Two M's, yeah, and one. You get that? You get the invite? So double check your settings, you guys. Does everybody already know the rules? You're going to read the rules and everything. 5v5 tournament draft, Summoner's Rift. Not doing anything out of the ordinary or anything like that. Just kill the other team. You guys ready on that side? Yeah. You guys ready on this side? All right, go ahead and start.
Draven out.
I won't be denied.
Good afternoon, League of Legends fans of all ages. Welcome to the Microsoft League of Legends event at the Microsoft Battle Theater. Today we have 8 teams in total competing to be supreme here at the tournament. We're already in picks and bans of our first game. I am Nick. My co-caster is Angelo. Angelo, what are you seeing in the draft so far?
I'm seeing a lot of meta bans right now. Jarvan, Cho'Gath, Maokai. A lot of the strong tanks are being taken early out of the competition right now because Gargoyle Stoneplay, Righteous Glory. The dual item combo, whether or not it's being wielded by a jungler or not, is still a very strong combo to be able to be effective with.
Yep, so bans so far in Draven, Jarvan, Maokai, Galio, Sejuani, Fizz. So I believe those are the only 3 drafts we're going to see, as Galio has been locked in as the first pick. Now Galio, obviously a flex pick. He can be in the mid lane, he can be in the top lane, he can be in the jungle, might even be thrown in as a support cheese pick. Well, what do you expect?
Well, it appears that the game is currently being interrupted while we try to fix out some issues.
There's an issue on one of the players' ends, so we're going to have to start over.
Listen to see how it sounds.
Mine is unmuted now.
Testing. Hello? Hello?
Okay. Should be working. Well, I'm sorry, what was your question? Did that answer your question? Because you just asked it.
All right, back in the draft here at the Microsoft League of Legends event
Draven
tournament.
out.
Once again, Nick with Angelo. First ban is Draven.
It's really interesting that they would ban Draven despite the nerfs that were following this patch because he is able to get shut down a lot earlier if he gets focused prior to, say, the mid game, if he's able to cash in on his stacks or if he's able to stack consistently with his Q passive so that he's able to cash in for some significant items because he
Who dares
needs
defy
a
my
lead
will?
to be able to become relevant, part as it transcends into the mid to late game. So with the nerf coming through where killing him either makes him lose more stacks or it sort of decreases the gold value per se, it really doesn't really seem that significant to Vandraven, although he still has a very high base damage, being him having one of the strongest level 1 trades in the game, being able to snowball early, and if the team doesn't react properly, it's a very troubling
Yep.
situation.
So the remaining bans, Maokai, Cho'Gath, Sejuani, Jarvan, Fizz, all standard solo queue bans, if you will, because they're very powerful on their own. All have the ability to either snowball their team or carry on their own. The tanks in Cho'Gath, Maokai, Sejuani, obviously. Jarvan can build damage, Fizz can build damage. Picks starting to come in. We see Galio, Tristana on the blue side, and the bot lane already revealed for the red side in Taric and the Rat Twitch.
Yes, we are seeing very strong late picks here already. We are seeing how much of a powerhouse Tristana can get to become with Sona buffs, with Galio Peel. It's already looking to be pretty intimidating on both sides so far. Both already have very intimidating teamfight presence with Taric Ultimate, Twitch AoE, and as we're seeing a lock-in for Rammus, we're already beginning to see a bit more peel for individual characters. So if there are specific assassins designed to target specifically an AD carry, it would be stronger. But it appears as though they're going to go with more of a snowball pick, and this Jax transcends to the late game. It's going to be a fight as to who's going to end up winning the team fights, getting more gold, and powering
So
through.
we have potential mirror picks so far. It could be Galio top lane, could be Galio mid, could even be Galio support. We see a Sona come in. Sona can be played mid, although it's very rare. More like going to be a support carry there. So we could have matching picks so far. More bans come in. We have Rammus and Janna banned. Janna did in fact receive slight nerfs in the form of Ardent Sensor. Its scaling is now much weaker as you get into the later game. So a bit of an odd ban there, but we'll have to see what else comes through. Malzahar banned on the blue side as well, even though it is not showing up on the actual ban section. Oh, never mind. I was looking at the wrong side. Malzahar, obviously very ban-worthy. He has very large presence. And speaking of large presence, Syndra, the final ban, the one-click wonder, if you will, Syndra. So what do you expect coming out with these team comps? Obviously looking to fight.
Let's see. We already have pretty significant split pushing, being able to go for perhaps a 1-4 or maybe a 1-3-1, depending on who the last pick for the mid laner is. And both are looking to have significant split pushing potential. We have a Tristana and Shyvana on one side, who are attack speed reliant and are able to push down towers very heavily on their own, which is further emphasized by the possible Yasuo lock in here.
Yep, so
Which is
Zach
going to be
locked in on the red side. Very strong ganker. Does need to get going early, though. If he gets shut down early, he's going to have a lot of problems in the late game. Shyvana being locked in along with Yasuo, two very strong solo picks on their own. Shyvana needs that objective control in the Dragons. Yasuo has the knockup in the form of Galio. However, it's a matter of getting someone in the middle of the fight, which might be that initiation with Shyvana ulti coming in that can get the Galio ulti followed by a Yasuo. A very interesting wombo combo idea. We'll see if it follows through. And the last pick is Cassiopeia into the, I'm assuming, Yasuo as the final touches are going around.
Well, based on how the matchups could play out, it could either be Galio or Yasuo top. They may want to try to reflect Galio to the mid lane so that they could have more global presence when it comes to team fighting early before they get to the mid game. So it would be slightly post 6 if they're looking to make any big plays, because with the significant power of their split pushing comp right now, if they chose to, they could pick either side and either 4-man or possibly 5-man an entire lane, and if they manage to win that outcome, it's guaranteed either a turret or another objective, depending on what time it is when they decide to execute a plan. And the other side has a slight amount of split pushing, although they are more focused around team fighting potential and scaling into the late game, which significantly appears to be of a higher standing than the other side, but we will just have to see how it ends up turning out.
So because we are spectators in this game, we do have that 3-minute delay. That shouldn't be a problem. We'll get into the game very shortly, but that just means it gives time for more analysis, which is great, especially in team fighting comps. Let's say, what's the dream scenario for each side? If you are on blue side right now, what is your dream scenario? Early ganks or just Drake control, that sort of thing?
I would have to say the best potential for blue side to pull out for an early lead would have to be just significant communication between getting vision control, because whether it is Zac or a Jax jungle, they both have significant gank potential followed by very good follow-up on either side. They have significant follow-up on pretty much any lane that Zac or Jax chooses to gank, depending on what role they're going to be. And whether it's a Cassio W trying to ground Yasuo so he can't dash to his own minions, or it's Tarek stun, or Jax E, anything can be a significant follow-up to the amount of CC that Zac can provide. So it's going to be a lot of communication regarding vision control, being able to decide where Zac or another jungler is, and trying to get as many eyes on the map as they can so that they can farm effectively, and they can possibly start transitioning to lead to either other lanes, whether to counter jungling or just focusing objectives, which it appears to be their main goal.
All right. Now, due to the tournament standards, it is League of Legends Unlocked, which means that all champions are available, all runes and masters are available, that sort of thing. All skins are available. And now everyone knows that skins are the most important part of the game. So who on both teams has the best skins and therefore will win the game, in your opinion?
Well, there is pretty good potential in seeing a DJ Sona this game. There's also some very colorful, very friendly picks on the blue side, such as Gatekeeper Galio, Dragon Trainer Tristana, everybody's favorite little girl, being able to just have her own little pet dragon zooming around speed of sound. And Super Galaxy Shyvana is a pretty colorful favorite for a lot of people. But on the other side, I would have to say that the entire game could be taken by a Armor of the 5th Age Taric and a, let's see, Cotton Candy Zac?
Well,
Or Sweet Cream. I believe Sweet Cream.
you know, seeing an armor of a 5th Age Taric would be truly, truly, truly outrageous, Angelo.
You are outrageous, Nick.
However, I do personally like Championship Shyvana the best of all the skins I think I see for both teams. We'll have to see what happens. We are going to load in the game in just a few seconds. We'll get confirmation on those skins and then some real gameplay. Like I said, 3-minute delay. We're at the end of that 3-minute waiting period, which means that we can stop messing around, get into some League of Legends action.
And as we get into the game, let's try to take a look at what their summoner choices is, see if there's any particular strategy they're going to be going for. It's pretty common now that when it comes with healing bot lane supports, that they would usually take heal because of the buffs to Ardent Censer and Redemption, although it's been kind of transisted with the nerfs to Ardent Censer in the recent patch, so it makes sense that they would revert back to the original summoners. And Cassiopeia taking Ghost versus either Galio or Yasuo being able to take TP, try to get some good lane coverage. Both offer significant roaming potential. However, the Yasuo TP and the Galio TP offers a bit more in the stance of objectional control, being able to split push, control certain sides of a map just with their presence.
So coming out of the game, everyone with pretty standard items. Galio with the Dark Seal. That is something interesting, not a typical Galio item, especially when he's in the top lane and should be building more tanky. Am I correct?
Well, it appears as though that Galio is actually going to be transitioning a bit to the mid lane. He's looking for that AP versus matchup to where he can get a bit of early aggro. Perhaps if he's able to get some, if he's able to land a good taunt or a knock-up, he can get some pretty decent follow-up by Shyvana, which can either force a few summoners or possibly even get a kill.
So just running down summoner spells really quickly. The blue team does have double teleport on that Galio and Yasuo, which means a little less kill pressure for that Yasuo into the Jax matchup, as opposed to the Ghost on Cassiopeia allows her to slither around the map a little bit faster.
Alright, as it comes into the minute 30, it looks like both teams are taking pretty standard, rather passive roles. They are just kind of zoning to their own side. Shyvana appears to be soloing her Raptors as the red team goes to clear blue for Zach.
Yeah, Shyvana, being that powerful early game jungler, can take Raptors that quickly, get that level 2, and then transition right to red as she's doing currently. Top lane is a bit of a bully matchup in favor of Yasuo, as we just saw right there. Jax getting a bit harassed off it. That Q proc actually does get blocked up by the strike there, and a small stun and a bit of return damage, but nothing a Yasuo can't handle. Just keep an eye on this bot lane. That can get very explosive very quickly, and not just because of Tristana's E.
And already we're starting to see a little bit of a lead on the blue side, because as we're being able to keep a track on the Shyvana's clear rate in comparison to Zac, as well as individual laners having a bit more of a CS lead, we're starting to see a bit more power. Shyvana's going to be able to hit her levels earlier, and it looks like we're seeing a fight happen.
Yeah, early on already, twitching a lot of damage. It's going to go down to the first blood going over to Tristana. Nice explosive charge followed by a rocket jump. Able to secure that kill, and Twitch did have to burn heal there to no avail. Early first blood going over to the blue team.
Right. Jax appears to be freezing the lane. If he's able to keep around 4 to 5 CS around the area, he should be able to farm approximately. Or rather,
Twitch having to come back to lane, not able to buy anything. Picked up a second biscuit from the looks of things. Down 4 CS. Didn't lose too terribly much off of that trade. The mid lane is going to be interesting to watch. That Galio into Cassiopeia. Galio, obviously, with his magic resist, natural passive into Cassiopeia, spamming her twin fangs. And good damage onto that turret already as a big wave going to crash into that bottom turret.
Yes, it's very punishing if the enemy bot lane is unaware of Tristana's passive of her E on the turret, because it does do significant splash damage if it gets the full charge and it detonates near an enemy champion.
Back in the top lane, Jax and Yasuo still going at it. Neither one quite has the power to kill the other one yet. Jax started Doran Shield and is actually 8 CS up over the Yasuo. Yasuo dashes in, looks for the knockup, can't find it, so Jax is going to walk out of that one on the better end of the trade. Yasuo having to drink a potion right away. Keep an eye on the items as the first backs and buys start to come in. Shyvana able to pick up 2 daggers for herself. Galio with boots and a Doran's ring for a bit more sustain in lane.
Yes, I think it's very important here to point out that Shyvana already has a pretty good XP, even an entire level advantage over Zac. I'm curious to see whether Zac's able to pull off some ganks or land some CC to be able to pull out some kind of significant change, but it appears as though Shyvana is going to start having a lead soon if they aren't able to put her down.
So Zac did have to cover the bot lane for Twitch as he was going down. Twitch actually with a slight CS lead now, so a bit of misplay out from Tristana, not able to capitalize on the first blood advantage, but that is getting more than equalized on the other side with Shyvana over Zac, Galio over Cassiopeia.
Oh dear, it appears as though Yasuo is being starved by CS. Jax is catching the lane pretty well.
We do see an early first dragon pickup from the blue team. Shyvana able to work off that passive early on, and a Ocean Drake, excuse me, very good for a team. Especially early on when you want to stay in lane, regen mana and health. And we see it especially go into effect with these poke lanes.
Yes. Going back to their team comp, their team is very effective at being able to split push and CC, such as how the Galio is able to catch out the Cassiopeia, despite her being able to kite pretty effectively. And as they're trading back and forth, the Ocean Drake is definitely going to kick in here, being able to help with just a tad bit of lane sustain. But then it'll transist to the mid game when they begin to start sieging or split pushing.
And so we saw Cassiopeia taken very low by Galio there, forced to back out of lane, now down 9 CS in that lane. Jax getting a bit more brave now that he has his leap strike to come in. Yasuo down to that matchup by 22 farm, falling behind early on. Galio used teleport to get back to lane earlier, so he would have to walk back. Looks like he picked up a blue from his jungler.
It's very interesting to see the transition of gold here, because the top side, it appears as though the red side with Jax is starting to have more for the experience and farm. However, on the opposite end, Tristana has a pretty significant advantage. both can scale really well into the mid and late game if the other team is not careful to shut them down.
Cassiopeia taking the worst for a trade in that bit. Galio not quite strong enough to take her out on her own. Little under 7 minutes into this game. Blue side with a 700 gold lead from the looks of things. Most of that coming out of the first blood kill in the bot lane going to Tristana. Picked up a BF sword to Twitch's Zeal, so obviously very powerful there. Again coming in, Shyvana ults in. Good taunt there by Galio, and Shyvana gonna be able to pick up that kill.
Yes, we see the flash. We see the flash used here by. Oh, rather no. Actually, it was a very clean, full dash ultimate by Shyvana to be able to cut off the Cassiopeia's path so that she wouldn't be able to ghost or flash out of the way. And it was a very well landed taunt by the Galio, which was enough of a duration where they could get all of the burst damage in between Shyvana's autos and the rest of Galio's consistent damage.
Now, that's something that Cassiopeia should be able to pick up on. If you see a Galio turning his taunt, and he's, many units back, not in range, obviously, to make up for that, you should be a little wary of that taunt flash coming in. We see a stun land on Tristana in the bot lane. Twitch going to be able to get one auto off, but does take the worst of a trade there. I'm just thinking, obviously we have the omniscient third eye. We can see it coming in and that sort of thing. But if you see a Galio charging up his taunt and he's nowhere near you, there's a good chance you're going to get flashed down and ganked.
Yes, it's very important to be able to try to read certain ability movements and certain pathings. Trying to understand when a certain tank is trying to charge something from a distance usually implies that they're either going to get followed from their team or that they're going to try to initiate something on their own, and they're charging up for some kind of combo play.
So a little bit over 1,000 gold lead for the blue team. Remember, these are best of one elimination games. Jax jumps in, gets a bit of damage off on Yasuo. Nothing, he won't heal up, however. Cassiopeia does have her tier, so she'll be able to spam her Twin Fangs. Yasuo able to heal up using that Ocean Drake buff. Jax with the Sheen is a dangerous Jax. Agree?
Oh, yes, very. The early game is very significant, especially being able to push for another lead. It also helps with CSing because it just increases the base damage on their autos after using the ability. And you can time that with a W proc, and if you're also timing your ultimate, your Master's Might, and being able to chain with a third auto burst, it's a lot of magic damage and it's a lot of physical damage, and it's very hard to defend from, which is why it makes him a very effective assassin in the top lane.
Yasuo is more than lucky to have that Ocean Drake buff on him. Now he's able to regen up any trading that might come his way. And it looks like he's taken a fair bit of damage there, down to about half health from that Jax with just a Sheen. Bit more trading all around. Cassiopeia not quite able to close the gap on that farm. Down 10 into her lane. There's a 20 CS difference in the jungle, just about, between Shyvana and Zac. Shyvana obviously farms much faster than Zac. Excuse me. Its bot lane is about even. Which is good. Big gank coming in from Zac. Lands the stretching strike. We jump back to the top lane. Bit of action. Yasuo's gonna get stunned up. Gonna get one hit. Has to flash away. But here comes Shyvana. Her dragon comes in. The smite comes down onto Jax. He's gonna try to flash away. Galio ulti is gonna miss. But Shyvana's gonna click up the kill anyways. Successful gank in the top lane. Failed gank in the bot lane.
So being able to read the vision, seeing that Zac was bot lane, having pretty significant vision control for the bot side, is what is able to enable countermeasures on the other side of the map. So with Zac not being able to counteract for the Zac gank, with Zac not being able to counteract for the Shyvana gank, Shyvana is able to go in, and this leads to further follow-up by Galio if he's unable to be interrupted by Cassiopeia. And it's a very punishing side, especially if Jax is able to get baited in and lose his lead.
Unfortunate for Jax there, he picked up Ninja Tabbies on his trip back to the store the hard way. Shyvana completed her jungle item. Obviously the enchanted challenging smite. That picked up his tracker's knife. Galio stacking more magic resist as is expected. Does have 2 stacks on that Dark Seal. Good to keep an eye on that throughout the course of the game.
Yes. Although, odds are he will just be using it for a early lane until he can transition it to either another tank item or perhaps some kind of AP scaling item.
So, has Yasuo lost top? I think is what we have to ask ourselves. He's down 30 CS. He needed a gank from 2 of his team members to try to get a kill. He can't trade. That bot tower getting dangerously low for a Tristana lane. They're getting bullied hard.
It's not as much as whether the lane is lost, whether they are being forced out or losing XP. Yasuo is remaining pretty consistent, and he's performing his job pretty well of not forfeiting the lane. He is getting punished pretty heavily trying to go for CS, but his attention being drawn to Jax, not making any TP plays in other lanes, not being able to significantly move their team around the map to be able to counteract the Tristana aggression, the Ocean Drake being able to come in for the siege, enable Tristana to be able to get the first blood turret.
And more leaping strikes coming in, doing damage onto Yasuo. Blue team did pick up first blood on the turrets, making their gold lead just over 2,000. It was over 3,000, excuse me. Yasuo started to teleport, but decided to cancel that. As Jax leaps in again, can he get the stun off? He can. Blue team secures another dragon, but Yasuo gets taken down in the top lane. Not having a good time is Yasuo, down 40 CS, now a kill. But the dragon did go over to the blue side, so Shyvana is going to get that much stronger. Galio comes in, tries to get the taunt, is not going to land. Shyvana dragon just misses, and Cassiopeia escapes her life. Both summoners still up.
Pretty good timing of abilities so far, pretty good map movements. They're able to react off of the vision, and it was a very, very clean dragon acquiring also. And very well timed with the Jax and the execution on Yasuo, waiting to engage, land the stun, and as soon as the shield was procced and disabled, he let out for his third auto with the Empower W, and it just combines for a huge amount of burst.
Alright, first item coming in is Runaan's Hurricane on Twitch. What do you think about that? He is behind in his matchup.
I think it's going to help him with his wave clear and some early team fighting. However, he needs to start building consistent damage later into the game. With them going to semi-tanky roles, despite Yasuo, of course, reverting to his typical last cannon size. Perhaps he builds a frozen mallet, but going into the matchup, it's more effective for Twitch to have something that can deal consistent damage as much as getting an Infinity Edge would be very powerful. It's very unreliable, particularly when you're falling behind, when you can't scale into the mid game well with a very expensive item, which you're not being able to get with the CS fallout.
So Rift Herald going over to the blue team. That has to be worrying, especially when you have lane pushers like Tristana on that side of the team. We see a bit of a lane swap coming out. What do you think about this? Tristana and Sona moving to the top. Zac and Jax, trying to defend, while Yasuo was switched to the bottom to face off against Twitch and Taric.
Well, what you're seeing is a really good strategic play here, because with Yasuo not snowballing the Jax as much as it was probably maybe looked into, because with Jax being able to get the kill on Yasuo, he probably looked into Jax was going to be able to snowball this lane and get a significant lead and push the tower in. With Yasuo being able to survive long enough for Tristana and Sona to be able to push their lead in the bot lane, they're able to rotate the sides and be able to push other objectives on the map and gain more map control overall, as Yasuo is able to survive in the 1v2 against the Twitch and the Taric, mostly with one wall and also with just aimed Q farming.
So we saw there, Jax had to concede that lane to Tristana push, and now Rift Herald being used in the mid lane. That should be the third outer turret going down without a contest. Zac looks like he wants to try to set up a gank, but isn't going to be doing anything. Rift Herald needs to get one turret, third of the game for the blue side. Their lead now about 4,500.
And with Rift Herald whirling up the turret, it will finally be brought down by the red side.
3 turrets to none. Two kills up is the blue team, along with roughly 5,000 gold, give or take a couple hundred. This game not going in favor of the red side very clearly. Their one saving grace is that late game Jax is going to be a split pushing monster.
Jax is going to be a split pushing monster. Zac is still very efficient at team fighting. If Twitch actually gets to finish his 3 or 4 items, he can be a very, very big powerhouse paired with Cassiopeia. They have loads of AoE damage, and Taric can feel very well put up alongside with Zac. On the other hand, the blue side still has 2 to 3 objectives. Oh,
hold on, we're gonna get a team by Zac. Jumps in, unable to pick up anyone with his ultimate left bounce. Sona had to flash away, but no other summoner spells used there. So, successful gank, if you will, if you can call it that, at 16 minutes.
Yes, and going back to the objective control, with Yasuo, Tristana, Shyvana already being very effective at split pushing, being able to have just a natural damage increase so that they can win trades while they are...
I'm going to cut you off right there. Shyvana goes in, gets the smite down, on the stun, not able to hit. Zac jumped into the back, petrifying gaze comes out onto Shyvana. Terror ult's coming down, that's going to save Zac from taking too much damage. He has to flash away. No other ultimates or summoner spells used. Cassiopeia did Ghost Away, still has her flash up. Most all flashes up for the red side, save Zac.
Yes, they have to play very carefully here, especially with Cassiopeia running around on CS. Tristana and several of the others are reading that as an advantage to be able to push on the turret because they know that Cassiopeia won't be able to turn. She already used her ulti to disengage the Shyvana, so they already have a lot of pressure in that lane. And as you can see, they're starting to transition that aggression to the rest of the top side and the jungle, so they can start sieging and see if they can rotate their leads. And in the meantime, Yasuo is still bot, and he is creating presence despite his small back.
Yasuo did pick up a Phantom Dancer. Jax has his Triforce down, Trinity Force, excuse me. Looking at more items, Tristana working on an Infinity Edge from the looks of things, not able to complete it, should get it on her next back whenever she decides to back. Cassiopeia has an item, complete Galio with that adaptive helm all set, so he's not going to be taking too much more magic damage this game. Or he will be taking it, but it won't be doing much to him.
Yes, the adaptive helm comes in very well versus the Cassiopeia matchup because the subsequent damage from either the poison or the spam E will be negated very heavily thanks to adaptive helm.
Next dragon's up in 10 seconds. Looks like it's going to be... I didn't quite catch it there. It's going to be an Ocean Drake, so is that one worth fighting over if you are the red team and you're down in this game?
I'm not really sure if it's going to be worth this much trying to test with the damage and with the sustain that the team already has. They don't have a 5v4.
Zac does go in, however. Blue team's going to secure the dragon. Zac gets knocked up. The dragon Shyvana. No one's died just yet. Never mind. Sona does go down. Tristana going to clean the kill on a Twitch. It's 1-1 so far. Petrifying Gaze gets all together. Tristana with the resets coming in. Gets Taric. He's down. Looks like Jack's going to be the next one to follow. It is a 3-for-1. So far, and it looks like that's going to be all. So blue team gets the dragon, gets 3 kills. What else can they do?
It was a very also I want to point out very well timed flash on the Yasuo, by the way. He was able to dodge the Cassiopeia Q so that the DOT damage doesn't kill him, and it ended up being a 3 and it ended up not being a 3-for-2. So they're just able to split push from here. The primary carries survive, and they have just significant dominance over the lanes currently, with the top wave beating up to push further as Tristana has freedom of her lane because of all the damage that she deals. It's looking very one-sided right now.
This game's certainly starting to snowball out of control. Still pre-20 minutes in this game. Blue team with a 7,000 gold lead here. And got that mid turret, making the score 4-0 in their favor. Baron coming up in 30 seconds. They could try to rush it down. Wouldn't be advisable. They could always wait for another team fight, try to clean up there, and then go for it. But how does red team come back in this game?
Red team, again, their main cinch for being able to turn a positive lead in this game is going to be through team fighting. It's going to be very hard for them to try to take picks, but maybe if they're able to find some kind of pick off of either a counter engage or maybe somebody getting punished for sieging incorrectly, it's going to be very hard for them to be able to find their way out from the snowball, especially with one of their carries who's farm significantly. Cassiopeia has taken a defensive item for first start. The Abyssal Mask is very efficient when it comes to trading significant forms of damage. Zac's going to be able to deal a bit more damage. She's going to be able to do a bit more damage, and so is Jax on his offside scaling. However, it's still very good.
Zac tried to engage there, but Tristana can just rocket jump away. Something make that a champion very viable, something very elusive. This game is rocket jump. I'm looking at the vision. Blue side seems to have a bunch more wards in the red side jungle, especially around that bottom blue side quadrant for the red team. Obviously, that comes from their ability to win team fights. Some of it being cleared out now, but they'll still have an idea of where their jungler is. And that could lead to some pretty impactful changes coming late game as teams play around vision. That's where they can kind of pick out where each member of the team is, especially with Zac with the long range engages.
Yes, going past the 20-minute mark, Baron is on the field right now, or on the Rift, and getting vision control around the surrounding area is going to be an important task for both sides because it is a very game-changing situation for either side of the team, because if blue team is still able to capitalize on their lead with the Baron secure, then it's going to push over for a game close. And if the red side is able to secure Baron, then it's going to possibly mean that they can retake their lead, get back some gold, and maybe they can even win a team fight and push for very significant changes in the game.
Looks like blue team has started up Baron. Our direct camera jumps away from that. Gotta get back into the action. Baron still going very low at about 1,800 health. The explosive cast. Come on, blue team able to secure it. And now the following fight ensues. Let's Bounce comes in. It's going to pick up 2. And that's going to let Twitch get on the backline. Exhaust comes down onto Cassiopeia. Goes to Ian trying to find a kill. She gets exhausted, taunted, and cleaned up by the Galio. Now it's all turning around, falling apart for the red team. Twitch is going to be the next one to fall. Tarek tries to get a stun up.
Oh,
couldn't find anything.
dear.
It's 3 kills to none along with the Baron. 3 kills to 1, excuse me, along with the Baron. Looks like Yasuo died in a 1v1 attempt to stop a teleport in the bot lane, perhaps, or maybe just died straight up 1v1 to the Jax.
What a monster shutdown. It was a very interesting tactic thought out by the Zac to be able to disengage 2 very prominent players on the team by ulting them to the other side so that they would either have to use summoners or try to reposition to use the blasting cone. But what ended up happening was as the Twitch and the Taric tried to follow up for a flank on the exposed carries, they just ended up losing the team fight. They didn't respect the gold advantage that the blue team had with their items and with their power, and they were just able to overwhelm them. And it didn't help that they were trying to fight the team as they were rather healthy and also with Baron buff.
So that's the conundrum most players might find themselves in. They're down in the game, and Baron's being started. Barons are going to get stolen away. Do you fight that team fight? And the red team tried. They had a very good effort. Like you said, Zac and excellent disengage. They're just too far down in gold. At this point, they are 10,000 gold down. And it's looking very grim for them in this tournament.
The Baron was rather significant here. We needed to see some either impressive team communication from the red side to see if they could try to organize a flank, or if Zac was possibly able to land that lucky smite to be able to get the steal. Both could have transited to very good leads that would let the red team come back into this game, but it's just starting to look more and more and more bleak.
So let's see how blue team works with this Baron buff. Another dragon coming up in 20 seconds. Not sure which one it is, but anyways, an engage coming in from Zac. He tries to find the Let's Bounce, finds one. Stun comes in, lands on Tristana. She's taken very low.
Ooh.
Big taunt coming into Shyvana, takes down the Twitch. Jax jumps down, gets Tristana. He's going on the back line, but Shyvana picks up a double kill. Make that a double kill. Galio is able to secure the kill onto Jax, and it looks like it's going to be a double kill for the Galio as he cleans up Cassiopeia. Zac is able to escape, but he's not going to be able to defend this turret as it's going to go down. A Cloud Drake has spawned. That's not worth their time when they could take an inhibitor. 13-4 here, 24-45 into this game with a commanding 13,000 gold lead, and blue team looking to clean up the base as they move on to the bottom turrets.
Shyvana scaling into a very powerful tank in this game with the Dragon Control and with the Sona consistently healing, consistently damage buffing. The Shyvana was able to just face tank pretty much the entirety of the team fight damage, which is critical because it's pretty much all that the red side has.
Yeah, Shyvana 6-0-6 in this game with a Frozen Mallet, Enchanted Jungle item, and Brambleback. Basically, as her defensive item, she has Merc Treads as a defensive item as they now move on to the Dragon. It's just another one of those cleanup prizes easily secured. That's 4 Drake to none, and it looks like it'll be another Cloud Drake spawning if they ever want to pick that one up.
And with every dragon that they get, the blue side is going to grow more in strength. Whether they're able to secure an Elder Dragon or not, they are still very prominent, very powerful. Baron buff is just getting around to wearing off if it hasn't already, and Shyvana is starting to rise with incredible late game power. Her scaling with the resistances coming from getting each single dragon is immense, and if they are able to take the Elder, it is pretty much going to mean game over.
Yeah, so we're looking at it. Cassiopeia doesn't even have an offensive AP item built yet. Galio has 10 stacks on his Dark Seal and 3 items built. This game is out of control. 309 on that Galio, 606 on Shyvana. There's not much hope left for red side here as they siege up this last remaining outer turret. Outer being, it's outside the base.
Yes, with them being able to take pressure already for the mid and bot lane, they're going to just pressure top S5 with their significant pressure and be able to probably just brute strength their way throughout whether it's team fighting or sieging. Galio is incredibly strong. Shyvana is very, very tanky.
Jax has
Brutal
to
on all
go
sides.
back from the red team. He's the only one able to clear that wave. Only one with kills on this team. He has 4 for 4, so 100% kill participation. He has one that's a Titanic Hydra. Has to fight Shyvana in the base with super minions knocking on the doors. Red team not even close to defend this one. They're trying to defend this outer turret still. One Nexus turret goes down. The second tier turret's gonna go down. There's gonna be no stopping this blue team. More super minions coming in. The stun is going to land. Galio ulti onto Shyvana. There he goes. More action in top lane. Red team completely discoordinated in this defense. Can't even put damage onto Shyvana. She gets exhausted down. Stun's going to land as well. Taric ulti coming down. Shyvana still alive. Galio now the one taking all the damage. Taric ult doesn't do much. Galio trying to find some kills of his own. Gonna get a taunt. It's gonna be a 4-man taunt. Petrifying Gaze comes down onto Vasana. Zach's gonna jump onto her. Sona's gonna take down Twitch. Yasuo's gonna take down Taric, and it's chaos in the red team's space. Yasuo ulti is gonna clean up Cassiopeia. Never mind, a kill secured by Sona, and that is going to be game perhaps 3 for 1. Mastery Flare coming out of the Jax, who did his damnedest to defend, but not able to do it. And that's going to be game. Blue team with a commanding victory, 18-5 over red team.
It was absolutely brutal how the red side was able to converge with their team fighting potential. It was rather punishing that they didn't go for any earlier plays. And let's see if the blue side can just be able to transition their lead to possibly win their way through the tournament.
Next up in the arena, we're calling Wood Division and Yellow Penguins.
So let's talk about game stats real quick. We're going to talk mostly about blue team because they were the obvious victors there. Damage dealt to champion, total dealt to champion. Coming out of Shyvana, the jungler, scaled the hardest, got her 4 dragon buff, I believe, on her passive. That's insane. That's unacceptable if you are the red team to try to even let that happen. There was no vision for them around the dragon. There was no control over objectives, and it just snowballs completely out of proportions before they could do anything about it.
It was a really punishing.
We're gonna take breaks from them really quick. Oh. Hey guys. Hello. Guys.
It was a really punishing decision on the opposing team's part to not try to go for objectives while the Shyvana was power farming and just being able to go through. And with them still the blue side had a very strong flip pushing potential, but with them being able to get objectives as well as kills, as well as winning team fights, pretty much eliminated whatever potential that the red side had. As we're seeing from the stats here, Zach had very little damage done.
Yellow
As we
Penguins, Wood Division.
as we went through the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game, we saw very little participation from Zach. And we saw very few ganks, we saw very few countermeasures being taken to ensure that leads were being shut down, and the vision control was rather poor, and they were just able to capitalize on it.
We'll look at that real quick in the vision scores. We see that blue team it looks like they placed roughly an even amount of wards. If I'm just going to average the graphs right here, maybe blue team placed a few more. However, I think it was the placement of where the wards were that really helped out the blue team. Right, they were able to get deep wards in. They were able to put them defensively on their side. And red team, they just had to put defensive wards down, which aren't as effective when you're trying to take a lead back in a game.
Let's try to take a look at the wards destroyed in the process. Here we go. We have a lot of vision denial on the blue side. They were being patient and trying to time the ward placements of the red side, which was very effective when it came to setting up for vision control. And rather disappointing to see was that the Taric actually hadn't destroyed any wards, making very poor use of the sweeper. Perhaps it was a little bit more coverage by the Twitch and being able to safeguard each other for what little they could, as they could try to reach out to deny vision and maybe go for some plays. But overall, rather unfortunate to see.
Yeah, so a snowbally game. We predicted in the beginning it was going to be one side snowballing over the other. It did come down to team fights. Unfortunately, just not the right team fights for the red team. They put up a good fight, especially in the early game. Unfortunate first bloods and such.
And just as a heads up,
However, we have to move
Cloud9
into
Hot
game
Cross
2
Buns, those are going to be our
for
next teams
now.
after this
Once we
match.
get the invite, we will
Again,
hop into
Cloud9
that.
and Hot
And
Cross
we'll take a
Buns
quick
will be the next team
break,
after
me and
this
you,
match.
Angelo, as the players get into their sets.
All right, thank you all for tuning in with us, and we will be right back.
guys are all in the game?
We're all in the game.
You guys are all in the lobby?
Yeah, the lobby.
Lobby, sorry, that's what I meant.
But I'm still coming up twice.
Alright. Are you guys ready on that side? You guys ready on this side? You guys ready? Good? Alright. Let's get it! You are good. Good to go.
All right, League of Legends fans, welcome back to the Microsoft tournament here at the Microsoft Battle Arena. After a dominating first match, hopefully we see a bit more parity between the teams coming into our second match of the day. 8 teams, one of them already gone, 7 remain. First band coming out is Malzahar.
Malzahar is a very typical ban here. Very high, very significant win rate with his ability to be able to push force lanes in and either roam or make counterplays just off of 1 or 2 items. Being able to work off of Lost Chapter when already having pretty significant mana sustain because of how his E works on his Malefic Visions. Because if he's able to farm effectively, he's able to manage his mana very well. Chain to that with Doran's Ring, or possibly Corruptor's Potion if you plan to be more aggressive. But overall, Malzahar is very strong on the meta right now.
I recommend
Janna and Lulu bands coming out from the red side, so support focus bans already, and we see a Zac being banned on the blue side. Zac we saw having limited success in the previous game, but maybe that team saw something that we didn't, as Twitch is also banned out, one of those hyper carries when it gets to the late game.
Yes, Zac is still very prominent, along with Maokai, as very effective tanks, being able to work with a Gargoyle Stone Plate, and also as very effective CC, just chaining monsters. If they are able to scale effectively, or even just collage in a very appropriate way with their team, they can turn an early flank or an early gank into a very huge lead if the other team doesn't respond properly. And we see a very, very interesting Darius pick here. Darius is very known for being aggressive versus either counter-tanking or trying to pose significant presence, because if he's able to push his lead, he becomes a very strong team fighting monster because of how his hemorrhage stacks works, and he becomes even more effective when it comes to split pushing and dual potential, so long as he doesn't get kited to oblivion.
And we see the Lovers of the Rift being locked in. Xayah Rakan bot lane coming out for the red side. I personally, as a support main, love Rakan, love playing him. I think his interactions are great. He's very skill-oriented. And when you get Xayah on the Rift with him, well, it's just a match made in heaven, truly, by the Rito gods. Tristana being locked in as the ADC for the blue side. What do you think of her matchup into Xayah?
I'm seeing... It's rather going to be... It looks like the Tristana pick is obviously very strong in the meta right now, coming for either split pushing advantages or team fighting advantages. A late game Tristana is a very, very scary thing.
Speaking of scary things come in small packages as Veigar gets locked in. I don't know if this is the solo queue Veigar support strategy.
What kind of solo queue do you play?
The low elo kind, Angelo. As Gnar is locked in for the top lane counter into Darius. Does work. Range auto attack in his mini form versus Darius. Just has to be sure not to get apprehended as we get into the second phase of bans. Junglers still have to be seen along with mid laners. Shyvana banned away on the red side as we saw Shyvana becoming an absolute beast in the previous game with all that objective control. Zed being banned out as a mid laner, obviously, on the blue side.
And it should be said that Shyvana is only as strong as her team's communication, being able to secure objectives and have significant control of her jungle and the enemy jungle so that she's able to farm safely and efficiently. Ties in to just how well her team or the enemy team can communicate to countering them.
Once again, the support pool being pinched as Soraka gets banned out. Obviously, the red team is worried about the Ardent Center strat, Fizz being the last ban as that assassin, tank, bruiser, burst mage in the mid lane. Now, potentially a mid laner coming out here for the red side. Brand is the hover. Don't know if it will remain Brand. Brand very powerful. It is Brand on his own. Going to be going up into Veigar in the mid lane.
We're seeing some very intimidating picks here on the red side. They have incredibly strong team fighting potential as well as kiting potential. So the Darius first pick is actually starting to look like a bit of a burden on the blue side right now. Because if Rakan and Gnar are able to chain their abilities together effectively, they can provide brilliant peel for the Xayah or the Brand. Not to mention that Xayah and Brand both have their own forms of disengage CC so that they can try to counteract.
All right, we had Sona come in for support, which means it is going to be Viger in the mid. We see a Nunu jungle for the blue side, and Udyr, I'm assuming jungle, for the red side. Thoughts?
The Udyr pick is very interesting. He hasn't been seen in a couple patches since a significant rework on his W, taking away his natural lifesteal and rather giving him base healing, which increased from his missing health. So it was pretty efficient based on how he worked around his jungle, timing his autos, working with his attack speed off of his Q. Although it's very intriguing to see how it's going to go into a competitive style. Maybe they're going to try to looking for an optional split strategy. If Udyr is able to snowball the game, they can 100% pull off a 1-3-1 strategy where they can have Udyr trying to split one side and control objectives, while Gnar is in one side being able to split push on his own, being able to kite very well, and meanwhile they have very strong team fights.
I'm concerned for Vigar, is a statement you hear not many people say. And I'm concerned because he has teleport and not something like cleanse. His mid lane at level 2 is going to be terrifying because you have a Brand stun, you have an Udyr that can come in, you have a Rakan that can roam up. Maybe not at level 2, but at some point in the game, Rakan can and will roam up. That's what he does best. He has a teleport and a flash, and no escape tools. If he doesn't hit his stun, his baby cage, then he's going to have a bad time because he's going to get slapped in the face by a bear man. He's going to get hit in the face with a fireball and get stunned and blown away.
Well, with mid laner challenges comes good team communication, being able to work with their fellow teammates, being able to communicate back and forth between vision control, um, pointing out when enemy laners are missing and when they don't have sights on the jungler, trying to get a good readout for their pathing based on their own jungler's pathing, and being able to counteract properly. And with the Viger pick and rather kind of back and forth with their scaling. They have two very strong late game carries, but at the same time, they have rather early to mid side dominance with the Nunu, Darius, Cheese, and Sona has pretty significant sustain throughout the game. It's going to be rather back and forth, whereas the red side has a really consistent team all throughout.
You know what I'm not seeing in these team lineups? No true tank. Darius can get tanky, Nunu can get tanky, can also build AP, but not really going to build tank. Gnar can get tanky, Udyr can get tanky, but they also want to build their damage, especially if it's a open the gates Udyr, as he is known in the solo queue. Which means we're going to get a lot of team fights, which means we're going to have fun. Are you ready? And of course, the most important question, which side's going to have the better skin in this League of Legends Unlocked? I think it's going to be Battle Boss Viger, or Final Boss Viger.
Well, we could always be lucky to see a Dreadnought Darius.
Perhaps even Nunu bot Nunu. That's a fan favorite, I believe, Nunu bot Nunu. So you can just spam laugh and tilt the other team just like that.
Just saying the name tilts me.
So let's see, loading the game in 20 seconds so we can get that 3-minute delay underway. I think this Xayah Rakan bot lane might fall flat on its face because of Sona. Sona with heals, Sona with long-range poke, with her Q. I think there's just too much sustain in a Tristana Sona bot lane that an all-in lane such as Xayah Rakan can't quite get to where they need to be pre-level 6.
Well, it more so has to go with how... It more so has to go with how they try to lane against each other, being able to punish each other for ability use and whatnot. So Sona and Tristana obviously have a bit more range early on, and they're going to try to either look for early harassment so that they can deny CS and experience, but at the same time, if they make a mistake Xayah and Rakan can converge on either target really well and be able to protect each other.
So unfortunately, it is not Dread Nova Darius, but it is final boss Vigar, which makes me happy. So we're getting this match underway. Looking at early items, pretty standard across the map. Rakan running Ancient Coin as he should. Darius, I think made a mistake in his item buy. Only bought one potion. Now, is that a strategy?
Yes, that is.
It must be one of those challenger strategies that I've heard so much about.
No, that is the I have been playing solo queue all day, and I am rather stressed, and I kind of forgot this when I was playing 30 games of Jace in a row.
We got the Xayah Rakan dance-off, obviously in the mid lane. Poor Udyr in the middle.
Obviously,
I'm very confused about this Darius build at the start of the game. You think he'd take Doran's Shield? You think he'd take something? But
we may just eventually wait to see it slowly.
Maybe he's trying to save up his gold so he can get an early first item. Spamming some masteries here, focusing on the lovers. Cameron loves them. Maybe an attempt at a slight invade. Maybe just trying to figure out where junglers are going to be. Good defensive ward placement there by Xayah. I forgot about Zombie Brand. Zombie Brand's a great skin. Pretty standard starts for junglers, both starting blue.
Alright, as we start to see both junglers try to work their way around their buffs, we're beginning to already see some early aggression from both sides. Darius is trying to look for some early aggression on the Gnar, but is getting harassed back, and he is definitely beginning to feel his item disadvantage. In the meantime, Brand and Vigar are trying to exchange abilities, and Brand's coming out on top a little bit, being able to play off of his early range.
Yep, so Vigar does have biscuits as opposed to Brand's straight potions. I also noticed Udyr has a sweeping lens for his first item. Stun doesn't quite connect on a Vigar there, but Deathfire Touch is going to do lots of damage on top of the burn.
Udyr having the sweeping early could be very useful if he's looking for some early game cheese. Maybe he's looking to try to find some early game kill potential with his stats as strong as they are early into the game, before Nunu is able to get some proper follow-up from his teammate. As we're beginning to see, he's looking to path around possibly to the enemy blue side, as he's either working around Scuttle or being able to look for a gank here.
Stun just missing in the mid lane. Looks like an early gank from the Udyr. Flash in, grand entrance. Stun is going to get locked up, and first blood going over to Xayah. Rakan and Udyr in the bot lane. Xayah picks up that gold, however. Great start for them. Getting worried about a CC chain. That's one to be worried about. Flash and exhaust down on Rakan. Flash down on Xayah. Udyr able to hold on to his flash. So a bit of trading in the top lane as Darius getting kited around the minions. Got to worry about that aggro. Pops one of his potions. He went back, bought Doran's Shield, a couple potions, and then teleported back to lane. Still getting bullied heavily there.
I would like to point out the sweeping lens that Udyr used in the bush prior to when they initiated that gank. It was actually really effective in being able to tell that they were not expecting that gank early, and they were punished for being overextended, even though they were a ranged matchup.
Very nicely done there. Vigar still, obviously, as we saw, taking damage in the mid lane. Tristana and Sona now being the ones forced back to turret. Something you don't hear very often. And Xayah Rakan don't realize that they're standing on a ward. Now they do. The minions go after them.
We're seeing some pretty similar clear patterns in the Nunu and Udyr matchup. They're, aside from Udyr's gank potential, they're both pretty even with their gold advantages and experience leads.
And keep an eye on these CS. Xayah has a 9 CS advantage over Tristana. Darius actually on top in the CS game up there. Flashing from Brand, looking for the stun, gets the burn down. Not able to connect the stun. Ignite's not going to be enough. Tower shot is going to finish off Vigar, and it's a 1-for-1 in the mid lane. Snowball coming in from Nunu, as we now have a fight in the bottom lane. Nunu trying to do some damage. He doesn't have any. Tristana has to rocket jump forward. Explosive charge goes down. It's not going to do a ton of damage. Xayah able to get good roots off with her feathers, and the blue team has to walk off limping from that one.
Very well executed feather recall from the Xayah, and it turned into a 3-man root, which ended up denying just the entire flank from the Nunu.
So the only problem Gnar might have in the top lane is when he's forced to transform, as he is now. He does get much tankier. However, Darius will still have that advantage over him because Darius in a melee 1v1 matchup is just a nightmare to deal with. So early action in this game. We are 5 minutes 45 seconds in, 1-2 in kills in favor of the red team. Slight gold advantage in the favor of the red team, sitting at 700.
Well,
Xayah has picked up a BF sword. Tristana has not. Pull in by Darius isn't going to mean much. Gnar is able to trade back the damage. And looks almost even there.
Darius being able to pull out a pretty significant XP lead over the Gnar. Despite being harassed, he was still able to reach level 6 before the Gnar has, which means that he's going to have a bit more of a power spike.
Blue team has started up Dragon. Sorry to cut you off there, but it was on a ward, so they'll know. The red team will know that's happening. Now it looks like red team wants to do the Dragon. Blue team doesn't know it's happening. From the looks of things, it looks like they are recalling, but they're going to back off as well. Sona stuck around to try to make things work, and Dragon's been restarted by the blue team. It's sitting just over half health. Both teams fighting over it. Baby Cage not going to find anyone.
It's some
damage coming in. Flash from Sona. Brand's in there. He gets 3 with his. Brand gets 1 kill. Rakan picks up another. A double kill coming out for the Brand. Udyr looking for the 4th. Udyr trying to chase Sona down. Gonna get the stun. Gonna find the Phoenix Dance. Gonna get the kill. Red team picking up 4 and the Dragon. So, all of a sudden, this game, a little out of control for the blue team. Couldn't find the vision that they needed to secure that Dragon. Didn't have the manpower there. Brand able to sneak into the back line. Pick up 3 kills of his own. Red team now up 6-1 and a 3,000 gold lead.
And again, as I was talking about earlier, it's going back into just that monster team fight potential that they have. Being able to clump them all together. Rakan being able to land his early CC. Being able to landing ignites, trying to deny heals, deny sustain from the Sona, and as they were all clumped together, even without the Gnar's assistance, they were able to close out that 4v4 very well.
If Gnar does get apprehended, has to use his Gnar into the wall to stop any further damage from coming out. Good use of the ultimate there. Brand now, with a massive experience lead in the mid lane. Looking at his items, lots of pieces, but nothing completed yet. Xayah with a BF sword, 2 long swords to Tristana's pickaxe. A little bit of damage coming through. Good chunk onto the Veigar, though, with no magic resistance at the moment.
Yes, with Brand already having 4 kills and starting to build a bit of tankiness for himself with the Ruby Crystal buy, either looking into his Haunting guys or perhaps his Rylai's, depending on how he feels his teamfight potential would be stronger in. It's pretty back and forth on either side, but the Veigar is getting punished more because he is not able to get his rings.
The apprehend found Gnar. It's not going to be enough, though. No one dies in the top lane just yet. Rakan goes in, hits him with the quickness. Featherstorm comes out. Rakan picks up another kill, and Xayah going to get the next one. In the mid lane, Brand killed Veigar, and things completely out of control for the red team. Udyr comes in. Darius tries to flash away. Is he going to find the slap? He is not. No apprehend either. That was a taunting apprehend in the top lane, and more damage going on to this bottom turret. It's already sitting at about half.
And we're already starting to see the blue side start to crumble a little bit. It was rather conflicting as to why they were differentiating between having split pushing potential, late game potential, and then they fucked up their team fights. I think it was more so just trying to be able to play off a vision and respect the initiate and the follow-up that each team member has for each other, and being able to communicate properly, which would have helped them try to turn some kind of lead. But unfortunately, Brand is getting enough damage on his own to pull his own weight, and as Udyr just continues to farm, Gnar continues to kite, and Xayah and Rakan are getting very strong just on their own.
Absolutely. First brick going over to Xayah. Lots of gold in her pocket. 2-0-4 on that Xayah. 2-0-5 on Rakan. 5-1 for Veigar in the mid lane. Nothing going right for the blue team, save one kill for Veigar, but even that was just a trade kill. Essence Reaver picked up for Xayah. Black Cleaver on the way for Gnar and Darius both. And Nunu is getting his CS doubled by Udyr right now.
Yes.
And has allowed absolutely zero pressure on the map.
Despite Nunu having pretty significant objective control with his Consume Smite combo, it still comes down to who's able to pull more of a lead gold-wise. And with Udyr's side already getting the advancements that he's already able to pull off with the significant team fighting, the significant chase potential, being able to...
Bit of trading in the top lane. Looks like Xayah might go down to the hemorrhage. One last cleave is gonna get her. Rakan not able to trade back his lover's life. Maybe gets an auto off. Was not gonna take 2 tower shots for his time. Good outplay there by Darius in the top lane to pick up that kill on Xayah. Just what Darius needs to get going.
But Darius being able to heal more off of his missing health thanks to...
Veigar, sorry, not Veigar, Nunu, excuse me. Took a ton of damage in that mid lane. Took almost a full Brand combo there. Brand really asserting his dominance there as well.
And rather the DOT kind of being punishing on both sides. Brand with his burn and Darius with his bleed. Nunu being able to survive barely because thanks to the Bombi Cinder that he bought earlier and running potions. And Darius playing very well, working off of his missing health regen off of his Q, which is increased the lower his health is and when he's around more champions. If he had missed Xayah or Rakan, he most likely would have died in that trade. But he was able to pull out because he hit both at the same time, regen enough health to survive the last 2 auto attacks from Xayah, being able to kill her and get away from Rakan.
Absolutely. Great play by him there, knowing the limits of his character and what he could do. Looks like it is going to be hunting guys into Lyander's Torment for Brand in the mid lane, so just more damage over time. Start watching the vision as it creeps up, as turrets start to go down. It's only the one in the bot lane for now. Flash in, Flash Bear slap onto the Veigar. There's no follow-up from the Brand just yet. He's going to land one. He lands the stun, and it might just be enough. The explosion is going to take him down. Another kill for Brand in the mid lane.
It was rather a really well-timed flash by the Veigar. However, the auto attack animation carried through by the Udyr to still stun him, even though he was able to get off his flash.
Yep, Nunu's going in. He lands a snowball, lands the ult. It's going to get knocked up by Rakan. Rakan picks up a 3rd kill for himself. But here comes the Bearman. Bearman makes a slap onto the Darius, who's able to heal just a little bit, but there's too much damage. And Udyr is going to take down Darius. 12-2 in kills so far in this game.
Oh dear, it is Udyr.
Oh dear, it's the god here. And looks like the mid lane turret's going to be going down almost at the same time as the top turret, which means the gold lead is going to balloon to 24,000 to 15,000, roughly a 9,000 difference between these two teams. And we're only at 13 minutes.
We're seeing a bit more blood this game than the previous, seeing a lot more team fighting, seeing a lot more ganks and flanks being made in comparison to objective control. There is a Infernal Drake on the field right now, which can contribute to more damage, which would help even more. However, we're watching the flank here.
Another action in the bot lane. Gnar's going to get exhausted, but it's the Brand they have to worry about. All gets 2 bounces, Redemption coming through. Brand's going to pick up his 7th kill of the game. Now it's 3 versus 3 in the bottom. Xayah gets trapped in the baby cage, can't find anything, and it's just going to be a disengage. Rakan shows up, making a 4v3, but it looks like they might just turn onto the dragon.
Yes, a very brave sacrifice by the Sona to take the Ignite Summoner from the Brand and being able to lead them away, so that 1, they wouldn't trade more of the Brand ultis between each other, so that he wouldn't accidentally kill his own carry, and 2, so that he would be able to distract him, so that they could just get away safely.
Now Nunu's in trouble, gets locked up around the Dragon Pit and absolutely deleted by 5 members, of the red team. Darius has to flash the stun coming out of Brand, who is just too strong at this point in the game. Red team now with an Ocean Drake and an Infernal Drake. And they might have their eyes on the Rift Herald, as Udyr seems to have started that up, but we're too busy watching a war get cleared. Yep, Udyr and Xayah on that Rift Herald. It is in vision, though, so blue team knows this is happening. We might get a fight just beforehand.
Gnar and Rakan are already playing some very effective zoning games, and Brand has complete dominance over the mid lane currently with his damage output. And with the blue side not being able to converge on either objective and make a proper decision to try to counteract the plays being made, it's very punishing on their end.
Yep, so red team able to pick up the Baron, and is going to be Gnar, I believe, to pick it up. Blue team forced to just fight inside their own jungle. Tristana trying to work on this last outer turret, not going to quite go down as teleport comes in to save it. That will be Gnar with the teleport down for now. Looking at items, still Essence Reaver, Landry's Torment on Brand, Essence Reaver on Xayah, that is. No completed items for the blue team yet. They are just starving for gold. Redemption on Rakan, that is going to be dangerous on him, especially if he's running Windspeaker. I don't know what keystone he's running exactly.
Yes, we're beginning to see the punishments happening early from the team composition being chosen. Nunu is being denied from the Udyr pressure, and despite Darius being strong on his own, being able to duel, the kiting potential is a very prominent threat, which leads to him getting bullied out of a lot of the chances that he's able to take to try to take a lead back for his team.
We do see Morellonomicon completed on Veigar, Black Cleaver on Darius. Upgraded jungle items for both junglers, as expected. Rapid Fire Cannon on Xayah. Still no Infinity Edge for Tristana, however. And Sona, of course, being the unfortunate support in this game, sitting only on a Sightstone, some boots, and Frostfang. So, where's the next point of contention? How does blue team get back in this game?
Blue team gets back in this game by just trying to play off a vision control and maybe seeing if they can get a single pick on somebody. They do have a lot of single kill potential with the Veigar burst and with the Darius ulti. And if they're able to transition that into a trickle-down team fight, where Darius is able to write off his passive and Veigar's able to manage his cooldowns, and Tristana can just reset and reset and reset and keep killing.
Knock up on Darius, gets hit by the quickness, and that's going to be Gnar picking up a kill of the game for him.
Big
His
burst by the
second
Veigar.
amazing burst there. Chung Nunu down to about only a quarter health left. They're looking for this mid turret. It's 3v3, excuse me. As another huge chunk comes out, takes Nunu to critical flashing health. Just seems like there's no way around the poke for the blue team. Tristana taking a chunk from the Boulder Toss out of Mega Gnar. There's just no end to it. Boulder Toss isn't supposed to do that much damage.
Yes, it's very unfortunate how the team compositions have wrapped up. Ooh, very nice pick on the Gnar here. The Sona ulti comes out, doesn't seem to apply much. But with the team composition being more for counter engage, either Darius Apprehend or Veigar E, if they're able to catch somebody, maybe they can try to force burst them down for a quick pick.
Flash Bear slap on him, exhaust onto the Udyr. Sona's gonna use a blast code to get away. Redemption's coming down, not gonna find anything, but Summoner Spell burned, trading Summoner Spells. And Sona's gonna have to recall to heal that up.
Udyr showing his power early with his mobility boost and his Tiamat, going the warrior enchantment on the Tracker's Knife.
Tristana's gonna get stunned up, gonna take a huge chunk from that, and is almost gonna go and is taken down by the Deathfire touch. Great play by Brand there, showing his true strength. 8-1 and 3 now, and only gonna get stronger.
Brand's late game scaling into the team fights is immense, and with the enemy team not being able to get in range to shut him down, it's very troubling. It's starting to look very bleak
Gnar
on
does
their
get
side.
stunned up, but there's no
no.
follow-up. Veigar's gonna go down to the Brand ultimate. Legendary is Brand, 9-1 now.
Blue team's going to need to significantly rethink their strategy when it comes to grouping for team fights, because if they're just able to let Brand continuously punish them for grouping when they are significantly weak and susceptible to a lot of bursts, they don't have a lot of MR on their side yet. Or rather for anybody, aside from one Null Magic Mantle on both of their tanks.
We'll see what happens. It might come down to just being a Sona flank even. Get Sona on the back line, stun up Brand, stun up Gnar and Xayah, and then get your damage dealers in there. They can't run. They get spotted by a ward. Stun coming down on a Nunu. A huge chunk taken out of both Nunu and Tristana there. They can't they can't face them head on. It needs to be a Sona flank, but Rakan goes in, hits him with a quickness, knocks him up, and Vigar's going down. As the turret also falls, Brand showing off a little bit, styling on this team. And now this inhibitor turret is the focus. Nunu's taking a lot of damage, gets pulled down by the Featherstorm. Darius now stunned. Darius can't quite get away, is slowed up, and this turret, not long for the world, goes down. Looks like red team wants to continue, up 16 kills and 1,400 gold redemption just to top off some health, and that inhibitor's down at 20 minutes, 25 seconds.
They're playing really well when it comes to punishing the enemy team's mistakes, such as catching them out of position when they're falling behind and going behind their, or rather going ahead of their own minions, and disregarding the catch potential that Rakan has with either a flash W ulti or just a W ulti in particular, because he can channel his ultimate while he is in the W dash, so he can instantly enthrall somebody while they are being knocked up. And so it can just apply for a lot of chain CC, which comes to just huge follow-up by anybody on their team. Brand a significant burst if he's able to land a full combo, and then if the ally team tries to help the Vigar out, it just leads to another teamfight disaster.
So another Drake picked up for the red team. That's 3 Drakes to none, 5 towers to none, and a 14,000 gold lead in this rather snowbally game, if you can call it that. I don't know if I would call it a snowball. I call it a fireball at this point, because it is just Brand absolutely dominating, 10, 1, and 3. Great work by him.
Every member of their team working very well to coordinate and make sure that they are positioning around each other in a very efficient manner. It's pretty awkward to see how you have one of the carries on the other side of the map trying to push for some kind of early objective, but at the same time, the red side is just pushing for the major objectives, and without the damage dealers there to be able to try to counter any choices they're making, it just looks more and more bleak.
So speaking of major objectives, they're doing Baron without their jungler. Udyr's gone bot to try to stop Tristana from recalling. Gets the stun down. Baron does get secured by that red team, by Brand, just because who else would it be? Tristana ultimate has to be used to try to get away. Also heals. Doesn't have flash available. I don't know how far Udyr can chase. This game quickly getting out of hand. Vision closing in on the blue team.
Yes, we see a very unfortunate lack of trading aggression from the beginning of the game when it started out, because we were looking at potentials for maybe the Vigar to snowball.
Vigar teleported in, and now he's just gone. Got exploded by the Rakan Brand combo. That's another 2 kills picked up under the tower. Hasn't even gone down yet. Brand and Xayah each find 1. Tower's gonna fall. Mega Gnar is gonna be procced, and this top lane turret not long for this world, and neither is the blue team. 1 inhibitor already down. Super Minions pushing in. Xayah just helping push them in. It's just Tristana and Sona on the defense. I don't think they can hold it. Xayah goes in, flashes in, gets the Featherstorm up, pulls them back, and is on a killing spree herself. Sona has to try to flash away. Minion destroys a blue inhibitor, which means 2 inhibs down. Not gonna matter. First Nexus turret falls. Vigar's up. Nunu's up. Second Nexus turret falls. Baby Cage comes down. Can they find any defense? Sona ulti comes down. It looks like Nunu's going to be destroyed himself. No good for him. Vigar trying to do the work, but he gets cleaned up. A double kill from Xayah, and that's going to end the game. Red team decimating the blue team.
It was just an absolute travesty. It started from the very beginning, when maybe some miscommunication in champion select, maybe some people wanted to play their own things, but what it came down to was communication and just execution of the choices.
And Brand. I think we found a permaban against this team as Brand out-damaged everyone in the game. I think if you added up all the damage, he did more damage than the entire blue team put together, doing a total of 22,698 damage. I think that says it all. We're going to take a quick break as the next teams get set up. Join us in just a couple minutes as the Microsoft League of Legends tournament continues in a moment.
spots here. There is no rooms or bathrooms. That's the suck. You should all be in a voice chat room. Don't use the Skype window. If you guys use the Skype window, it's going to automatically enable you. sure you don't see Skype anywhere on your screen, otherwise it's gonna alt tab you like crazy. If you have Skype anywhere on your screen, it's gonna alt tab you.
Oh, they're using Skype. I didn't realize they were using Skype.
Yeah, it should be slid to like the bottom right to the farthest corner possible. All right, you guys good on this side? Good. You guys good on this side? Yeah. Good. All right. Shane, you are the leader, so you need to start it whenever you're ready.
And welcome back to the Microsoft League of Legends tournament here at the Microsoft Battle Theater. We are into our third match of the day between Clown9 and Hot Cross Buns. So far we've seen two very one-sided games. Hopefully that's not the trend for the rest of the tournament. We want to see some high tension, good teamwork, exciting games, basically. And the first ban is Janna. And we've seen banned in all three games so far.
Janna, despite the Ardent Sensor nerf, still remains pretty consistent when it comes to her shield potential, ease of play, where she can fit into a lot of very flexible comps because of her ability to peel naturally and apply CC and defenses for her team without having to really extend that much into the enemy line of fire.
Malzahar and Cho'Gath are the next two bans, staple bans so far, especially in Malzahar, has very dominating presence. Cho'Gath is a beast, literally and figuratively in this game, so he's going to be banned away so he can't get that Locket Stoneplay combo off. And Zed, another mid lane ban.
Malzahar and Cho'Gath appearing to not going to be able to show any existence in this series with the presence that they cause with either their lane presence or definitely their late game potential.
Tristana is the next to be taken off the table. Seen her in the past two games. One she had success on, one not so much. What are your thoughts on banning a Tristana?
I think Tristana goes more around deciding how the team comp plays out. Tristana herself is a very strong pick in the meta when it comes to late game dominance, being able to work pretty well off the AD items that are strong right now, whether it's Shiv or just multiple crit. The Maokai pick coming through is going to tie in pretty well to being able to counteract a lot of the other carries that would have been strong here. Tristana being able to scale might have been pretty good, being able to deal with Maokai getting something like a Bork, but now it's going to be a bit tougher.
See, Jarvan was the last ban from the red side, which makes me think that this Maokai may go to the top lane. Maokai did receive a few small nerfs to his sapling damage early on in the game, so he's not especially a viable jungler. The bot lane can be locked in for the red side in Lulu Lucian. That is a very explosive combination.
Lulu Lucian is a very challenging thing to try to deal with in solo queue, and it can show off even in competitive play, with them being able to play off each other, trying to communicate effectively, working out both of their passives, cooldown management, and attack speed buffs out the wazoo.
AD carry for the blue side is going to be Jinx. Good hyper carry, but you got to get to that point in the game. You're going to be supported by a Soraka, so plenty of sustain in that lane, as long as Jinx can stay away from a lot of the harassment that Lucian brings to the table, especially post level 3.
I'd also like to pull back one of the statements that I made, not attack speed buffs, movement speed buffs. Lucian being able to work off his natural phage proc of his W pick, and Lulu movement speed, along with kiting, slows, altogether, very, very obnoxious matchup between them and the Jinx and Soraka pick.
We see a Sejuani pick coming through. First time we've seen her today. Her and her giant elephant thing.
Bristle.
Bristle?
Bristle the boar.
Bristle the boar. Alright. So, good pick there. Good crowd control all around, especially needed in that bottom lane, which is lacking some. Yasuo banned away from the red side, followed up by a Gnar ban. Both those champions we have seen in this tournament so far, both to moderate success overall.
Seeing the Gnar ban here shows that the Maokai wants a bit more of a passive laning style, to where he's more likely to be put into a matchup where it can go even in his favor, and to the point where Maokai can possibly offer more teamfight potential than whoever the top laner on the red side is picked as.
See an Orianna ban coming through as the last one for the red side. Taking away Control Mage normally means you're going to pick some sort of all-in mid lane champion.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like an Akali here, or some kind of controlled burst. Uh, or with Syndra being taken out of the field, could be seeing something like the Corki, or maybe Aurelion Sol. And actually, Lucian and Corki could flex between either as possible mid lane picks, although we're probably going to see the Corki burst.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Lucian ADC Corki mid. I'd be more surprised to see a Corki mid now. Now the question is, what do you play into that Corki? He does have good escapes. The blue side still needs to pick a jungler slash top laner, as Ahri's locked in as their mid laner, and now it's up to them to pick if they want a jungler or a top laner. This comp, it looks pretty good. It needs some more reliable engage, and that might just do it. In an Elise, a good early game jungler can come get your Jinx lane ahead, can come get your Ahri lane ahead. Maokai can hold on his own. Now, the question is, who's going to play top for the red side? They need a Renekton. What do you think?
I think Renekton being able to have pretty significant damage on his own side would be very useful. The Fiora pick would come to be more of a hassle for the other side, especially with Fiora being able to punish Maokai more, being able to be more of a tank oppressor with Maokai's limited mobility, and most of his disengage rather revolves around being close to the enemy, which is what Fiora wants. And if she's able to counteract the CC properly, he can, she Fiora can push a pretty significant lead, whether in CS or experience, and would have to call for some jungle pressure, if not more. Looking at the Ahri and the Corki matchup, it's pretty even on both sides. Corki is more auto attack reliant when it comes to whether they want to rush a Sheen or even a Phage, and which is going to involve getting more in range of Ahri's danger zone. So being susceptible to be hit by the charm, being able to be flicked off by the edge of the Q as it flies past, and of course the W is always omnipresent as targeting champions before minions.
I'm looking at these teams. I don't see a clear winner right now. I see a lot of early game pressure coming out of the blue side. I see a lot of mid game pressure coming out of the red side. But I don't see a definitive winner if we get to 35, 40-minute game, where it might just come down to one big team fight and positioning. You have two relatively short-ranged ADCs. You have two massive forms of CC in the Maokai and the Sejuani. You have a Soraka healing into a Lulu ultimate for wild growth. It's very even all the way around, I think. These are two very well-drafted teams.
Looking at how both sides are, it appears that the red side is going to go a bit more into the split pushing agenda, where while they will have a pretty consistent team fight when it comes to trying to organize sieges or maybe contesting objectives with pretty good group crowd control and damage, with Sejuani's massive CCs and Corki's AoE, and of course Fiora being able to lock down a character, and if she's able to get her ultimate off with all four passive procs, it can be very beneficial use to her team in a team fight. However, on the other side, blue side has a lot of pick potential. You have Elise Cocoon, Jinx with her W, with her Zap. If she's able to slow somebody, they can converge on her. Soraka can always shut down a pretty strong engage if she times her silence well enough. And of course, Ahri Charm is an Ahri Charm, and it can usually spell death for people who get caught.
It might not spell death for Corki, though, at least once or twice. It's cut off by the client right now in the spectator mode, but he does have cleanse, meaning that he'd be able to get out of at least one of those forms of crowd control. Now, granted, that won't be useful over and over again, right? If Elise ganks, tries to land a cocoon, but it doesn't work, and then Ahri comes to charm, that would get through a cleanse, if it's not timed well, of course. So we'll see how it goes. If Corki can survive the early game, I think he'd become a massive mid and late game threat. Now, of course, question of the hour: who has the best skins?
I'm not really sure. We see a Maokai this game be pretty attractive. Then or on every other side. It can just go either way. There's not really any significant standouts here that I can think of in particular.
There are the Star Guardian skins. I believe Jinx has one. I don't think Ari has one, or does she? Corki has some pretty nice skins, and the Red Baron Corki is one of my personal favorites. There is traditional Sejuani that could come out. League of Legends unlocked here for the Microsoft League of Legends event, getting a game in just 5 seconds or so, because we have to follow the delay. And we should be going in now. Teams
And
will be
as
loaded up in just a second.
And as the teams are loading in, we're again just trying to reflect over the amount of team fight potential that both have for each other. Although the pick and initiate on the blue side with all the rather skill shot oriented CC, but still very significant and can turn into a very effective lead if used properly. And hopefully we should be able to see some pretty exciting plays.
Certainly find out as teams are spreading out in a relatively even manner. Red side going for a fan out. Blue side maybe going for an early pick. All grouping up. There's 4 just above that red camp, maybe waiting for someone to wander in.
Trying to see if they can punish off anybody who is not aware of where the positioning of where they are on their blue side jungle. With a Soraka catching up to them, they now have the entire team there. So if somebody happens to walk into their area, they can pick on them unsuspecting. And it appears the game has been paused.
Yes, 58 seconds in, we have a pause. We'll find out what that is in just a couple moments. Until then, let's think about win conditions for each team. Does it come down to just a team fight in the end, or is there one lane that's going to snowball for either side, really? Because both teams have these snowballing lanes, as we talked about.
Well, when we talk about snowballing, we can first take a look at the items that have been purchased just for the start of the game. Right off the bat, we see that Fiora bought a longsword rather than some kind of sustain item. Even though a corrupting potion would perhaps be a bit more aggressive, the longsword, the plus 10 AD right at the start, shows that she is looking for some early lane pressure to where she can either force the Maokai out of XP range or CS so that she can try to get a lead of her own while she tries to buy for other items, maybe rush a Phage or maybe rush some lifesteal or a Tiamat. She has a very large pool of being able to shift to certain items that can give her a significant power spike. And
Alright, so we're being told it's a pause, so we're going to take, it's a pause due to ping issues, so we're going to take a quick break, be right back when we have a solution.
all right.